Sunday it's Hull KR Bradford, which starts at 3. Well, it's a bright and chilly night here in West Yorkshire, and Castleford line up with Richard Owen at full-back. Then they go Donlan, Shenton, Dixon and Wainwright, Dawn and Sherwin. The forwards, it's Higgins, Henderson and Hubie. So Korkidas is dropped. Guttenbeil, Lupton and Westerman, look out for him. With Clayton, the new on-loan signing from Bradford, Matt Cook, Boyle and Moore. For coach Terry Mattison. Now Hull, who will play tonight in blue rather than black and white. Tony at full-back, Byrne, Yeaman, Hall and Rayner, Washbrook and Berrigan. The forwards, Dowes, Lee and Cusack, Manu, Tickle and Radford, who's the skipper at loose forward. And on the bench it's Wielden, Houghton, Burnett and Jamie Thackeray is back at the KC Stadium under coach Peter Sharp. So the Hull side injuries have had a seismic effect on their season so far. They've gone 4 matches without a win, and they've failed to win any of their 5 games away from home so far. Their last away win was September the 7th last year, but what a win it was, 17 points to 6 at the Leeds Rhinos. The Castleford Tigers claimed only their 2nd win since promotion here on Sunday, and both have come against last year's grand finalists. They beat Leeds 38-20, the champions of course, on March the 7th, 30-24 against St Helens here last weekend. They will climb off the foot of the table for the first time this year if they win, and if they do, they will record back-to-back Super League victories for the first time since 2006. Steve Ganson is the referee. He kept control of a great game at the JJB at the Headingley Stadium last week when Leeds played Wigan. Let's hope he does the same here tonight. And we're underway, courtesy of the boot of Craig Hubie. Here comes the first tackle on Ewan Dowes. And we could be in for a thrilling night, Steve-O. It's always good when you come to the jungle. The atmosphere is magnificent. And tonight, the stakes very high for the home team.
Certainly is. The Tigers realising they can get off the foot of the table for the first time this year. Peter Sharp, the whole coach, pretty confident with the fact that they've got 7 internationals missing, but when you look down the lineup, it's not a bad side indeed. The big question is, they worked well for 60 minutes against Bradford last week, then fell apart. Can they hang in for the full 80 against a Tiger side that is buoyed by the fact they beat the mighty Saints last week?
Last tackle here for Hull, and the angled kick from Danny Washbrook. Oh, almost a fumble. Almost a fumble with his first touch of the ball from Stuart Donlan, but he held on. Interesting, Donlan I think has shuttled into full-back, and they have actually put Richard Owen on the wing early doors.
I think that's a very wise move as well, though. He nearly came up with the error, didn't he? Terry Mattison obviously feeling Richard Owen, only 17 years of age, hasn't got much experience. In fact, I think it's his first game into top grade this season. So obviously Peter Sharp, the whole coach, would have told them to give him plenty of work. They'll kick towards him all night.
Hull, good tackling on the halfway line. It's the last tackle. And Guttenbeil gets to his feet, plays the ball to Henderson. The kick through the middle is by Luke Dawn. And it bounces kindly. And here come Hull now. And, well, 7 stars out: Matt Singh, Richard and Graham Horn, Adam Dykes, Gareth Carvell, Paul King, Richard Whiting. Any team would suffer losing so many star players injured, and some of them are long-term as well. This is Thomas Lee, the hooker.
Pretty good kick and chase there by the Tigers. They really have got their defence sorted out. Been unlucky a few times, you know, at home. They could have had more points on the table.
Great ball to Craig Hall. Rayner takes it over on the inside, but Rayner drops it. It's a knock-on, and that's a glorious opportunity for Hull.
Bad error. Had the opportunity there. They got them out wide. Inexperience on that right wing, and he should have taken it. He just took his eyes off the football. He had a little look at the man coming inside to him.
Eddie, Castleford's position at the bottom of the table doesn't tell you the full story in 2008. one of the supporters corrected me on the Sky Sports website and said that the home form, as we can see here with the for and against, is worthy of a playoff side. They're a far different Tiger here in the jungle than they are on their travels. Clearly you can see they've fallen apart away from home, but here they've been competitive in every single match.
Yes, they were last week, 6 tries to 4 against St Helens. They are seeking their second win in 10 against Hull since 2002. This, though, is a great stepping run from Donlan, and he is halted by the tackle from the former Castleford teammate Willie Manu. Now it's with Sherwin. The kick bounces off the legs, and then it's flicked away by Henderson. Is this going to be 6 to go? No, the referee has not wiped the tackle count down. That's the last. Judge that the ball has played the man, not the other way around. Sherwin hoiks the kick up. Oh, and it's knocked forward by Dixon. Was it touched down cleanly by Richard Owen?
Good opportunity, but will it classify it as a forward? But it really can't go for that. But it really is difficult.
Surely it's a knock-on, isn't it, by
What do you think?
Dixon?
So? He's all right. He's onside. The back foot is behind, and the left foot has not hit the ground, so this will be okay.
There's one in front. Is that Westerman? And no, he doesn't get involved, does he? He stays out of it. And that's sure. Well, is it a knock-on?
Well, it's going forward, and if it hits the ground at the same time, yeah, it's a knock-on. Not a bad effort, though, was it? Richard Owen, who we said was going to be put under a lot of pressure tonight. He's looking to see whether he's offside, Westerman, and he goes within the 10. I don't think he does, so therefore this will be brought out in a turnover.
Even if he caught it, though, wouldn't it have been a forward pass from Dixon to the winger?
Well, it looked it, yes. It was knocked forward, wasn't it? Definitely.
But he can't go for a forward pass to the screen, can he? That's what he had to look for. It's a knock-on. It hits the ground first.
The ball hits the deck first.
Yeah, so he just wants to see how to replace it. I don't know why. Start the game.
I wonder if he's actually looking to see whether that ball...
Is it a knock-on in the field of play or a knock-on in goal? Maybe that's what they're just waiting to decide upon.
Well, Richard Silverwood is the video referee. He agrees it's no try, and he says 20-metre restart. And interestingly enough, Thomas Lee and the Hull players have been lined up there as Terry Mattison looks on from the far side of the ground. They've been lined up there throughout the whole course of that video referee decision. The Hull players, John Sharp, knew what that decision was going to be, or at least they hoped they did.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's been a really exciting opening start. We've already seen 2 line breaks, one from Hull down there left, and then also by Castleford down there right. So it looks like both teams early on are being very aggressive with the ball, and certainly throwing caution to the wind.
This is Willie Manu again. He once upon a time was here at Castleford. He was relegated with the Tigers in 2006. Made the playoffs with Hull in 2007. Now this is Peter Cusack. Just one absence all year for Peter Cusack. That's the last tackle. Lee waits at dummy half. Spins the ball inside to Berrigan, and Berrigan kicks to open space over on that far side. Difficult kick as well. It's picked up on that far side by Michael Wainwright.
It's always a good kick when you know that it's going to hit terra firma. That just gives you an extra second, get your one line of defence up there. It's now important to try to keep them in their own quarter.
Good movement from Castleford.
It'll be interesting to see how Castleford utilise it. On this right-hand side, they've been using Joe Westerman, which was to great effect against St Helens last week. I'm not so sure that the defensive quality from the Saints was all that red hot, but they'll be trying to utilise, look for Westerman running on this right-hand side.
Craig Hubie plays the ball to Henderson again. This is Luke Dawn. Another kick down field. Dawn hit the deck. Referee and touch judge, though, were happy with the challenge on the kicker. No need for a penalty. If there would have been a penalty, of course, Hull might have had.
Yeah, it was committed
in the sin bin.
Yeah, I think within the game as a coach, you work very much on traits of players, and in particular nowadays we talk a lot about referees and about traits of referees, and over the past few years Steve Ganson's been very aggressive with the whistle. He's tended to blow early in the game and put his stamp on the game, whereas we're at 6 minutes. He's let the game flow. We've had plenty of skill.
Indeed so. We haven't had a penalty yet, and we're past the 6-minute mark. Westerman vigorously brings the Hull runner to the deck. That was Thomas Lee. And this is Washbrook again. He puts the kick again through to that channel. And Wainwright collects once more. Referee shouts, "You're all onside." So Hull can close in for the kill. There's the first penalty. Lee Radford.
Just had a second bite. Did all the hard work and then just tried to turtle him. No good when the momentum has stopped. You just mentioned to Steve Ganson that kept the whistle out of his mouth. He had to give that one, there was no doubt about it. But I'm with you, John. It's in regards to Ganson. He refereed last week with a lot of common sense, and I'm glad to see that he's coming back into the referees.
Yeah, I think the coaches are all saying, and are all obviously have been recently vocal about the referees and the performances. I think what everyone's looking for is consistency, and I like how he's gone about the game today. I think both sides are certainly helping him.
Hubie will get to his feet, plays it to Henderson, looks for Guttenbeil. You notice that a lot of the Castleford Tigers players tonight are sporting some facial hair. There must be something running around the dressing room. Who can grow the longest beard during this Super League season? A dab through by Westerman, finds touch. Clean-shaven Westerman.
Well, not quite. He's still a young lad. Maybe he can't grow the beards as quick as some of the older lads.
Well, look at Craig Hubie, Steve, on number 15. He's only 21, and he's got a right beard on. I think
his
Bill,
dark hair. His dark hair.
Bill, our clean-shaven touchline reporter, can bring us right up to date with this.
Eddie, it's the Harry hormones among the side who are still clinging on to their beards. Noticeably, it's mainly the forwards who have cultivated them. It was a team bonding thing that they kept going for a few weeks, but it's run out a bit of steam, and I think the clean-shaven, the younger members of the side, the likes of Joe Westerman, have probably struggled to keep pace.
Very nice. Thanks, Bill. This is Dowes. Lee. And Lee gives it to Cusack.
Both sides just testing each other out. They've tried to swing it out either way into the three-quarter line, but there's probably finding the passage down the middle here. Oh!
Washbrook's pass out wide was gobbled up by Wainwright.
He took the gamble, didn't he, Michael Wainwright? Got himself involved.
Shenton plays the ball to Henderson. Henderson to Hubie. Hubie goes to ground. 21, as I say, starting his 6th season at Castleford. Penalty here against Hull. They were offside.
Well, I wish John Sharper kept his mouth shut. Not surprisingly, the Tigers are going to cater to. He was involved. He never made any attempt to get back the 10.
Three penalties now, 9.5 minutes. Nothing for 6. And Hubie.
It's within kicking range.
Well, it is for Craig Hubie, there's no doubt about that. He's maturing this year, this Hubie. An interesting point, really, with Hubie taking the goal-kicking responsibilities here, and Joe Westerman is the regular kicker for Castleford. Although his legs are not strapped, or there is no sign of an injury, one wonders whether Westerman's come into this match carrying a knock, or they just decided that Hubie's the more reliable kicker.
Craig Hubie is probably a more accurate kicker and has been now for a couple of years. The fact that Hubie has started a lot of the games on the bench this year has put pressure on Westerman and forced him to take the kicks. But you can see that seems to be an excellent technique, great accuracy, and a little bit of extra confidence now for the Tigers with the first points.
And it's the 109th goal of Craig Hubie's career, so he's no stranger to that role, Phil, you're right. But it's only his 3rd successful kick of 2008. Castleford are ahead 2-0.
And I think that gives some indication that Terry Madison, the Tigers coach, is aware that any points offered, they'll take them. This is a real crunch game.
Well, they have the worst defence in Super League, 55 tries conceded, but Hull have only scored 24 tries this year. They failed to score more than 10 points on 5 occasions, half of their matches. St Helens 6-0 up against the Quins. St Helens, who were on this ground on Sunday and were beaten. by Castleford. 11 minutes gone here. The Tigers ahead 2-0.
Good run from Henderson. That's probably want more and more of that from the dummy half position.
Sherwin to Dawn. Dawn halted by Washbrook, still manages to get the ball away though. This is Liam Higgins. That's the tackle, number 4. Henderson gives it to Sherwin again. Sherwin delays the pass. Todd Byrne on that far side, and Yeeman on Michael Shenton. And a high hanging kick here to the in-goal area, and easily diffused by Gareth Rayner.
Good refereeing there by Steve Ganson. He noticed that a couple of the Tiger players were in front of the kicker. He was yelling and screaming for him to get back. You can hear the whole fans underneath our gantry. They trying to help Mr. Ganson with a whistle, but they are taking him back a good 10.
Yes, he is, but I think they had a case when the restart was taken quickly by Hull. There were a few Castleford players in front. This now is Berrigan, who goes up the middle. The door is quickly closed by Henderson and Westerman. Thomas Lee from dummy half finds Motu Tony. Now Washbrook. Good run from Washbrook. The break on here. Oh, and the ball is knocked down.
Play on.
Hacked forward by Tickle, and it's too deep.
Well, they responded very poorly there. The great run by Tickle out wide on that right-hand side. Defence all at sea. Oh boy, Michael Wainwright did ever so well to chip that back.
Well, the referee has just ordered here a goal line dropout. He's surely got this wrong, and he asked Richard Silverwood to check on the replays, and Richard Silverwood's had a word in his ear. It's a 20-metre restart for Castleford.
Come on, Paul. 2 decisions then.
Well, the referee's only as good as his touch judges, and if he makes a mistake, well, you stand and fall by it. Luckily, he was able to correct that decision. I thought the last time that Castleford had the ball, John, you'd be a little concerned as a Hull supporter with the ease with which they went from their own 10-metre line up to their opponent's 20 with five simple carries.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Castleford's goal forward's been very good. I think they've been dominated the early parts of certainly the field position. You look at the kicks that Hull are putting in there, they seem to be more clearing kicks, whilst Castleford have had a couple of attacking kicks. We've seen a couple from Sherwin, basically summing up the dominating field position at the moment. What I have noticed from Hull is that when Hull are in decent field position, they're trying to get Mano on top of Sherwin, and then a return play, a two-pass play back to Washbrook over on their right. Washbrook made an error with his first attempt, but went through the second, so I think there's some fixing up for Castleford to do on the left side indeed.
A good kick by Castleford, and well dealt with by Motu Tony.
That was unbelievable there. It was a wonderful take by the full-back, and now they're not offside. He's got to stop them. He's allowing the advantage of Ganson.
And he gets Peter Lupton for interference.
They were very fortunate there, the Tigers. And you can see he went for the second little push there, did Peter Lupton. He'll get no pats on the back from his coach, Terry Madison, because he would have felt that the Tigers were getting a stranglehold of this game. The one thing that Hull has been very bad over the past few weeks is their first and second markers. Sometimes they take an age to get themselves set up.
Here's Ewan Dowds again. Hull, you know, have used 27 players so far this year, more than anyone else. Only 5 of their men have featured in every game this year. Such has been the problems that Peter Sharp has had with the injuries. But I think it's fair to say, John, that all coaches are suffering.
Yeah, you know, you look at some of the injuries that's come around the game at the moment, the real serious long-term injuries as well, in particular knee injuries.
Manu will slide the kick in and looking for Rayner, but that kick is far too strong.
He knows it too.
There is Peter Sharp. Richard Agar alongside him, the Hull coach and assistant.
Far too strong there.
So surely, Steve-O, though, when we talk about pressure, and this man is under some pressure because Hull are expected to perform and expected to make it to the top 6 minimum. But, I mean, this year there is no pressure on the coaches, there's no relegation, there's no reason for any board to make a change mid-season.
You try to tell that to the fans. They want win, and that's it. It's as simple as that. And the pressure that has been applied. They've all got pride, you know, not just the players, the coaches have their own pride. They want to be successful. The problem is, though, with Peter Sharp, they brought in Sean Berrigan, who is a great player, but he's played in 4 or 5 different positions this season. He can't settle down.
This is Luke Dawn having a very good year for Castleford. The ball was lost in the tackle by the looks of things there.
Yeah, it looked to me as though Henderson certainly fumbled.
Here he is again at dummy half. Finds Sherwin. Sherwin to Westerman. Important tackle that was by Hall. Now Sherwin again. He's the go-to man for Castleford, that is for sure. High angle kick. And back it goes. It's play on. It's picked up by Hubie, still the last. Kick towards the in-goal area. Gobbled up by Rayner. And Rayner tries to go round Owen and can't. Dixon finishes him off.
And I think this epitomises the field position battle at the moment from Castleford. The kicks that they're putting in, they're basically making Hull work off their own line, whereas for Castleford, I think they're collecting the ball on the 20 and having no problems getting forward, in particular from dummy half.
Motu Tony.
Look at that defence from the Tigers. They really mean business. They're coming in very quickly from about 10, 15 metres out wide, and they're shoving Hull right down the middle, just right into the path of the big forwards, and they've given away a silly penalty.
Hubie is the man penalised for offside.
No, mate, I'm looking and watching all the time. They can lock you up.
Well, there's been a ploy that Hull have applied. They've struggled to get out of their own half, and they've been wanting to get on with a quick play of the ball, and you can see there were 4 or 5 well in front of the official.
You might remember Hull's last visit to the jungle. It was Tigers' first game back in Super League in 2006. Hull won here 42 points to 18 with John Keir at the helm. We'll see John Keir, of course, tomorrow night. He's now in charge of Wakefield, and he'll be going head-to-head with our guest this evening, John Sharp, coach of Huddersfield. Huddersfield-Wakefield, 5:55, Sky Sports 2 HD2, channel 409, that is. This, meanwhile, is Sean Berrigan, halted by Dixon and Owen and Westerman. Good tackling by 3 fairly young players.
I'm not so sure that that's a good ploy that Peter Sharp's employing in regards to having Sean Berrigan out there in the centre. He's a man that likes to get his shirt dirty and get involved. Good opportunity here.
Great opportunity, but just stuttering a little bit, and the ball is lost.
Knock on.
Well, Peter Cusack lost that, and did Michael Shenton come up with a knock on?
Yes, he did. It'll be a Hull head and feed.
Well, he did.
Came up with 2, actually.
Well, having dominated the opening quarter, the Tigers really need to concentrate at this scrum. The last time we came here, Eddie, they conceded 2 tries directly from scrum plays, and Hull, with Manu out in the back line, looked dangerous as they set up for this one.
Where's the scrum half? Where's the scrum half?
Steve Ganson has noticed that scrum half is not attending at the scrum here for Castleford, so wants him, and it's Luke Dawn who takes that role, wants him to join the party. That's great defence though from Westerman, very quickly out to snuff Manu out. Here is Yeeman. And Danny Tickle on the run for Hull. That's 3 tackles gone. Big set of 6 this for Castleford. Thomas Lee went to go and find Berrigan, went on his own. Lee. And this is Danny Tickle, and Danny Tickle trying to use his strength, but the sheer weight of Castleford numbers pushing back. Thomas Lee is dummy half on the last, and there's the kick through. Oh, it bounces off the post awkwardly. Westerman with work to do, and Castleford trapped in their own in-goal area, and it's a goal line dropout forced by Hull.
Good kick and good work by Berrigan. He got there. He was looking for it. Did well though, did Joe Westerman, to put himself in a good position. Give credit to both those players. He really is a talent, this youngster.
Well, you know, England coach Tony Smith, you have to ask, will he be bold? Will he select Joe Westerman for the World Cup? Will he select him for the mid-season international against the French in Toulouse in June?
Well, Eddie, they say you select people on form. There's no back rower in Super League who's made more breaks or more tackles than Joe Westerman after 10 rounds this season.
So if you were Tony Smith, you would pick him?
Well, I think he'd be certainly on the shortlist, particularly playing in the side that's at the bottom of the league. That takes some achievement.
Here's Lee Radford, the Hull FC skipper. Thomas Lee is the dummy half, 20 metres away from the line. Berrigan takes the opportunity to go through Guttenbeil, but It was Westerman who was in with an important tackle again. This now Motu Tony trying to weave his way to the line. This is Hull's best period of the match. Can they make something of it with Thomas Lee? Not the best pass to Washbrook. The kick from Washbrook is too strong. As soon as it left his boot, you could tell that.
Just a little bit of panic setting into the whole team at the moment. As soon as they get anywhere near the Castleford post, you just say to yourself that they are getting a bit excited. I agree with you, Phil. Joe Westerman playing out of his skin. Remember Tony Smith, Sam Burgess last year, didn't hesitate, threw him straight in against the Kiwis.
Well, what competition for places. I suppose that's what Terry Mattison's wanted now, that he's got some fit players returning, bolstering his squad. We need those internationally as well, as Castleford go up and over the halfway line.
Well, St Helens are putting the cleaners through the twins, as this is a great break from Ryan Clayton for Castleford, substitute who's only just come on. Now it's with Owen Guttenbeil. He gives it to Hubie. The ball is just flicked back. Oh, great Hall will capitalise on this. Hall is one of the quickest in the whole side. Has he noticed that Skempton is after him? It's a great run from Hall. It's a wonderful try from Craig Hall.
He'll go off a look, I think. I think the official will go off a look, surely.
Just check the grounding,
Just needs to check the grounding.
I'm not so sure. There was a ricochet right down at the other end. I think you may have a look at that as well. How did the ball come clear?
The referee's only asked him to check the grounding.
Let's try time.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, if that's all he's requested, but how did it come out at the other end? It was a real mess from the Castleford side, who were in possession 5 metres out. The ball was kicked back, and this will be confirmation.
And Hall hit the front at the Jungle, courtesy of Craig Hall. He missed last week against Bradford.
Well, they had the possession, and Guttenbeil tries to get the ball away, and it's Hubie that has the ball knocked down with his arm. Once that a Hull player touched it, we'll see on this angle. Oh, that's contentious, isn't it? Either way, Hall gets the run. He does well here. He knows that they're catching up on him, so he comes on the arc. Pull him away, pull him away. That is a wonderful effort. That is superb. He knew he was being chased down, and he had the wisdom to go on the arc and score the try.
I tell you what, Hull might be next to bottom of the tables, but they've got some of the most loyal supporters in the game. Look at them underneath here. They fill this side of the ground at the Jungle. They're making one almighty din. And Craig Hall has scored the try, the first try of the match. And Danny Tickle here, a kicker of this quality, should have no problems with adding the extras. 6-2 it is to Hull.
Well, contentious issue here. Watch the ball as it turns. Hubie's looking for the offload. Was there fingertip there? It's very difficult to tell. Another angle here. Oh, I think he might have gone for the football there, Berrigan. Hand and ball. Either way, it's on the scoreboard, and that will lift the whole side. Castleford have had all the possession and positional play, and yet they're behind on the scoreboard.
It'll certainly be interesting to see Castleford's reaction now. I think they've been playing pretty good and dominating the game, but unfortunately they've gone behind on the scoreboard. But it'll be interesting to see how their confidence is holding up, basically, because Hull, I'm sure, are going to get a little bit of confidence out of them themselves. They're persisting with coming down this left side and starting to get forward.
Manu plays the ball. Thomas Lee goes off on a little run, halted by Westerman. Of course, we're mentioning all the great youngsters. Thomas Lee is only 20 years of age. Deep kick is gobbled up by Donlan, and a great chase from Washbrook.
Washbrook and Tickle. Oh, he felt that.
The biggest issue for me now, if I was Peter Sharp, is about his markers. Certainly against these dummy half carriers, they're making too many metres forward. His markers need to be just as aggressive like Willie Manu there, and his line needs to be a little bit further forward and a little bit more aggressive out of the blocks.
This is Ryan Boyle, another 20-year-old Englishman. It is so good this year to be able to say that we have so many young English players breaking through into the Super League, and it's no coincidence that that has happened because the relegation issue has been withdrawn from the agenda. High kick claimed by Motu Tony, who's not English. Todd Byrne makes some more ground forward for Hull. There's Thomas Lee again.
Good work as well by Hull. They've taken a leaf out of the Tigers book in as much where they are running quickly from dummy half.
And they do possess some great dummy half runners. You look at Rayner, who I think has been really quiet. I think he needs to get himself into the game. Motu Tony certainly carries the ball extremely well.
Last tackle coming up here for Hull. Thomas Lee dabs the ball over the top, but out on the fly, out on the full. Ball will be brought back, it'll be the turnover. He's annoyed with himself, is young Thomas.
Yes, angry I think is the word. He'll probably want to get himself involved in the tackle straight away.
Ryan Boyle with the first carry. Here now is Matt Cook, playing for Castleford, signed this week on a loan from Bradford. Bradford can recall him if they get dragged into an injury crisis. But at the moment he's with the Tigers. Oh, that's a great bit of play. And here he is, Matt Cook. He was fed then by Berrigan.
Good job that Berrigan got to him very quickly indeed.
Sherwin, I beg your pardon, it's Sherwin with the dab through. We had Berrigan swapping sides from it then, Steve-O.
It doesn't matter. It's all over the place.
It matters if you're a Hull fan. They want Berrigan to stay with them, not go to Castleford. St Helens are really taking Harlequins apart.
I really like what Castleford are doing around the ruck area. We saw Scott Moore not being on the field for very long, jumping out from dummy half. And we also saw Sherwin getting his nose through the line. So at the moment, Castleford are looking excellent around the rucks.
But it's Hull who lead on the scoreboard. 28 minutes or thereabouts on the clock. There's Thomas Lee, the dummy half. Knock on by Hull. And a man who needs a bit of attention is Ryan Boyle. Not been the best few moments of the match for Thomas Lee.
Certainly lost it.
No, there was the knock on there. It wasn't Thomas Lee, to be fair.
Good opportunity now. The one thing that Peter Sharp will be a little bit upset with is the fact that they are panicking slightly, trying to get on with the game quickly. I mean, John, is it a fact that coaches, because in the past, apart from last weekend that we saw from Steve Ganson, they've been giving away so many penalties for offside. Do you actually coach your players to play the ball quickly to catch the opposition so you can get the 40-50 metres downfield?
I think penalties are a very important part of the game, and you try and encourage your players to go right to the line where possible. I know that over the last few weeks we've been talking about the back foot and people being onside. I think if you can get wins, no matter where you're playing, if you can get wins when you carry the ball and you're playing on the front foot, the decision-making for your ball players, your impact at the line as well is obviously a great advantage to you. At the moment, we're seeing Castleford dominating that ruck area and getting forward through dummy half carries and good footwork.
Here's Scott Moore again. That's another little run from dummy half from him. Halted by Peter Cusak's tackle. That was Dixon. This is Sherwin. And here is Donlan. Tried to go round at Washbrook. Good tackle from the Hull man. Sherwin again at dummy half. Hubie's on his shoulder. Gives it to Hubie. Hubie goes without.
No advantage to the Hull side. And the big fella, Craig Hubie, just couldn't control it.
You have to have a degree of sympathy with Hubie. The two passes he's received, one previously was under pressure, kicked it back and Hull scored. On that one again, they're very difficult to take in. Had he taken the ball, couldn't have made any further progress.
Good harassment by the Castleford Tigers defenders there on Motu Tony in possession. It's tight, isn't it, at the Jungle? Half an hour gone. Willie Manu.
It's been a hard road for both sides in as much that very few skillful plays. It's really hard work down the middle, mainly brought about by that silly play. Well, Liam Higgins, and that's the third occasion that the Tigers have applied the pressure in the defensive line and then given away a silly penalty.
Do you think with all this rigorous defence, gentlemen, that this game will open up later on?
It's usually the final quarter. I made the point that Hull played very well against Bradford last week for 60 minutes. The last 20, they struggled. Will this be the same?
I think it's a war of attrition, and both teams have been very patient, getting to the back end of the sets predominantly and kicking the ball. Hull are getting on the front foot now and starting to win that field position battle, but I think it's about patience, about playing for the 80 minutes.
Good run that was from Houghton, and he played the ball quickly to Berrigan, who found Wielden, but the the Castleford defence rather marshals itself. Here's Houghton again, and he gives it to Berrigan. Short pass to Willie Manu, coming back on the inside. Willie Manu is hauled down by the collar by Guttenbeil. Houghton, short pass. It's another try for Hull, if that ball is down correctly, and Steve Ganson says it is. Scott Wielden is getting all the congratulations. It's a try anyway for the men from the KC Stadium.
They fell for the sucker punch, I'm afraid, did Castleford. They were fully anticipating the kick. There's a hand-up chase to final, and they allowed them to run from dummy half, and they've got away with it. Great play. They'll be happy with that one.
Was that a correct play, the ball by Manu?
He got up very quickly. He didn't get to his feet, but that's what they've been trying to do, is get on with it as quickly as possible.
Well, Danny Houghton has come on the field, injected a bit of pace actually around the ruck for Hull, but that was a very, very quick, and I'm just wondering whether it was a legal play the ball by Willie Manu. Did he regain his feet and put the ball down on the floor correctly?
I don't think so, and that's where we go back to the interpretation of the referee. The players are now realising they can get on with it quickly.
Danny Tickle successful with a kick from almost exactly the same position, which improved the Craig Hall try on 24 minutes. Left-footed. Should be another two for Hull, and it is. As good a kicker as there is around is Danny Tickle. 40th appearance for Hull. He's averaging 7 points a game, and that's 31 goals for the season for him. But Scott Wielden, second try, missed the opener against Warrington. He's played every one since.
And it was good work as well. You mentioned, Eddie, that Danny Horton is brought on to get to put a little bit of vim and vigour into the game, and he certainly did that. It was a quick sprint. He knew that the Castleford defence was all at sea, and by the time that Wielden got possession, all the defenders were off balance.
It appears that that's the way the game has gone, because not only do Hull have a new acting half-back on the field, so do Castleford, ironically at the same time, and coincidentally also wearing the number 20 jersey in Scott Moore. The nature of Super League for most sides now is the fact that towards the end of the first half, they bring on a younger, faster, probably even quicker player to try and just exploit any gaps or weaknesses in their opponent around the key player of the ball area. That's the new hotspot in Rugby League.
6 minutes to half-time. Harlequins on the board at Knowlesy Road. Here, Hull ahead by 12 points to 2. And they have weathered the storm here. They had a fairly torrid opening 20 minutes, but they steadied the ship. And here is Houghton again, who gets it away to Cusack.
They were under the cosh.
Halfway.
They were under the cosh, Eddie, was Hull, and it was great play by Castleford, controlling the game, as you say, first 15 minutes.
But it's a great kick, though, that is, from Sean Berrigan.
It's all about putting points on the board. Oh, that looked high.
It was. Danny Tickle.
Silly play there.
Straight up under his chin. He's not happy with the decision. He said something out of turn to Steve Ganson. He's been marched 10 metres back towards his own posts.
Why do players take the risk? Even if they offload, they're in their own quarter.
It's your problem, mate.
Don't tackle him round the head, then end up arguing with me, says Steve Ganson.
Steve Ganson apparently, I'm going to do a Phil Clark here. Steve Ganson gives away more penalties for dissent than any other referee in the game.
His kids at home get nailed if ever they say anything to him.
Does that mean he attracts more dissent? And if so, why?
Just don't look at him. That's what I tell my players anyway.
It's difficult, isn't it, in the heat of battle to keep a lid on your emotions.
He's probably got good hearing, that's all.
Guttenbeil.
It's important now the Tigers up the tempo. They've got to get a try before half-time. They've got to go into the break with a little bit something to lift their spirit. But with defence like that, it's not going to be easy.
Scott Moore at dummy half, and he gets the ball away. And that's a little dab through by Sherwin. Oh, and a fumble and a fiddle by Guttenbeil, but they still have it. To Castleford, this is Liam Higgins.
They've got to get
Last tackle.
Got to get the ball some air. Get it up over the top.
Sherwin gets the short pass away. They went for the power play, and it was very good defence from Radford.
Well, they lost their way a bit there. They really should have applied the pressure. Get it up. Put the pressure on Motatoni, the full-back.
Gareth Rayner, well, that's the first time we've seen him running from dummy half. John Sharp says he's one of the best dummy half runners.
You know, the amazing thing...
Oh, that was high on Yeaman.
The amazing thing from Hull's point of view is that they have not come down this right-hand side with a kick and applied any pressure on the 17-year-old Richard Owen.
Mike Burnett plays the ball to Houghton. Houghton passing the ball inside to Ewan Dowes. He goes down on the last tackle, and it's still inside their own half. The kick comes in from Berrigan. It's a good kick too. Wainwright has to run back towards his own line to pick it up, and the chase is good.
Not only is it good, they made sure that they were going down, and that silly play again.
Radford not happy about something or other.
Well, he's not happy because he's given away a penalty.
He's not happy with Wainwright for something. Furious, the Hull FC skipper.
Well, all he wanted to do was get on with it. And then he pushed him away and grabbed him by the ears, and then what more does he expect from the official but to give a penalty?
This is Hubie again, and this is a chance for Castleford up to half-time. There's their go-to man, that is Sherwin, and that's a great run. Could have been a penalty there. But Donlan got to his feet in the end. Moore to Guttenbeil. Guttenbeil breaks the first line, gets it to Donlan, and Donlan is scratched to the ground by Craig Hall.
Playing out of his skin, isn't he? Stuart Donlan is enjoying it.
Guttenbeil in back play, not the best pass, but Dixon keeps hold of it for the Tigers. Well, there's some points going in at Knowsley Road. Moore gets the ball to Sherwin. Sherwin fires the pass to Dawn. Dawn then gets it away to Clayton. And Washbrook is there. The ball has come forward. It's a knock-on, and Hull survives. And Guttenbeil, major problems for the captain.
Hold on.
He returned from a couple of matches out last week to inspire the win against St Helens. But Ryan Clayton loses the ball here, just sheer weight of numbers beating him.
That was a golden opportunity. This is the injury to Owen Guttenbeil, and you can see there is a lot of pain.
He was a dominant figure, was Guttenbeil, in the climb out of the National League last year via the grand final route. And
for a second row, you know, he looks so fit and athletic, but he's not all that big. Upper body strength.
Well, the referee's just called a stretcher on for Owen Guttenbeil, and Owen Guttenbeil's gone into the scrum.
He's tough.
They are tough.
They've got to try to force the error now. Take the gamble. Try to get underneath the ball carrying arm. Just go low and then push upwards.
Warrington are ahead at Leeds. Funny old game.
Sure it is.
Well, 10 penalties in this first half. We're coming to the end of it. Hull will have ball in hand for the majority of the last minute.
This is where Castleford have got to be very, very careful, because they cannot just relax. This is where you've got to really up the tempo, make sure your defence is solid.
Good little run again from Houghton, that.
They're going to target Brent Sherwin here, Eddie. I think if they can get wide of this play of the ball, it hasn't come quick enough for Sean Berrigan. All the men out wide.
Well, they've still got 20 seconds and they've got 2 tackles remaining. And here is Berrigan. And he got the ball away. This is Motutone. And Motutone gets over for a whole try. You spotted it, Phil. You pointed it out where they would go. They went down that way. But the referee has had a report from the touch judge that there might have been obstruction. And he also wants to check whether he was short or not when he tried to ground the ball here.
Well, there's no obstruction there. No obstruction there either. And that is a wonderful pass.
He's just checking that for that.
He did ever so well, didn't he?
Oh, not short at all.
No problem. That's a try.
Richard Silverwood, the video referee, agrees. And a try it is. And a big play in the last set of 6 of the first half for the men from the KC Stadium. They have built an impressive lead in this first half.
Good dummy runners. Beautiful little break there. And then when they get to it straight, Motutone, upper body strength there. They should have had him down. Richard Owen was just pushed away eventually. Gets to him. Can't stop him. Great effort.
Motutone, first of the season for the New Zealander. Formerly with Castleford, he had 9 appearances for the Tigers in 2004 and very much settled at full-back now for the Hull FC outfit because, of course, Sean Briscoe has gone across the city to Hull Kingston Rovers, so the number 1 jersey looks like being Motutone's this year. Well, Danny Tickle is lining up his 3rd conversion attempt, and from virtually the same position as he's kicked the other 2. And the result is exactly the same as well. It's Castleford 2, Hull 18 at half-time. And is the tide turning for Peter Sharp and Hull FC? They came into this game knowing if they were beaten, they would be a rock bottom of the Engage Super League. And despite weathering a very torrid opening 20 minutes from these men in yellow, the Castleford Tigers, it has been Hull who have looked the more impressive when the opportunities have presented themselves. Castleford 2, Hull 18 at half-time.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Prize Fighter, live only on Sky Sports. 8 heavyweights in one night of boxing, 7 fights and only 1 winner. Who will be the last man standing?
Prize Fighter with SkyPoker.com tonight, 9:30 live, Sky Sports 1.
The new Mazda 5. It's time to play.
Hey, Daddy!
Wow!
We made it ourselves.
That is such a treat. And it's handmade. Well, this is going to be so useful. It's, pot?
It's for your pens at work. And your toothbrush.
Yes, handmade's just that bit more special. That's why Pizza Hut prepare all their pizzas by hand.
And how long did it take you to make?
Assassin's Creed, now available on PC and Nintendo DS.
When a cop is framed for murder,
You set me up!
he will do whatever it takes
How do you think that we're able to touch
That's the Untouchables.
For justice to be served, Keanu Reeves, Forrest Whitaker, Hugh Laurie.
So we're just gonna go in there and kill him?
No, I'm gonna ask him some questions, then we're gonna kill him.
Street Kings.
Busca 3 barcos.
¿3 barcos?
Last season, almost a third of first tries were scored by wingers. Sky Bet, it matters more when there's money on it.
There's a choice of live action tomorrow. The A1 Grand Prix with the Shanghai qualifying session at 7 a.m. is on Sky Sports 1. Scottish Cup football, the semi-final tie between Queen of the South and Aberdeen at noon. Sky Sports 1 and HD1. Third test between India and Sri Lanka continuing at 5 a.m. on Sky Sports 2. And Rugby Union Gloucester Saracens at 12:30, also on Sky Sports 2 and HD2. Don't forget your Super League dose tomorrow is also on Sky Sports 2 and HD2. That's Huddersfield against Wakefield. But here we've got Castleford against Hull. And the men from East Yorkshire are ahead by 18 points to 2. Tries from Hall, Wheeldon and Tony, all of them successfully converted by Tickle, and just the one penalty goal from Craig Hubie. Well, Terry Mattison will know that his players really took the game to Hull in that opening 20 minutes or so. And Hull, gradually, they wore them down, they absorbed the pressure, and then they had the ability to snap back up the other end and go in for the 3 tries. Certainly the last try, right on the stroke of half-time, was a real bonus for Peter Sharp and his men. They have been under the cosh a little bit, not only tonight, but all the way through the season because of injury. But Peter Sharp has remained steadfast in his belief that once the tide turns for this team, it will turn completely, and they will still be in with a chance of making the top 6. Well, that, of course, is to be seen. He's fairly animated there in the dressing room, isn't he? Other scores taking place in the games tonight. Half-time at Knowsley Road, 28-12 to the Saints against the Quins. Warrington 6 up after 10 minutes at Leeds, and the Catalan Dragons 6 up after 10 minutes at Wigan. How many of you would have said that those last 2 scores would have been the situation early in the piece? Well, a long way to go there, and a long way to go here as well, of course. Full 40 minutes. John Sharp from the Huddersfield Giants is with us, former Hull man, and, well, 3 tries in the last 20 minutes of the first half. Hull very much in the box seat now.
Yeah, it's been a funny old game, hasn't it? We've seen Castleford dominating field position, certainly in the first 20 minutes. I thought the goal forward was great. I thought defensively Hull have been excellent and taken every opportunity that's come their way. So it's been a tale of field position for Castleford, but not coming up with the goods.
Indeed so. They really did turn the screw, didn't they, in that first 20 minutes, but as you say, couldn't come up with the scores. But this was, well, manna from heaven as far as Hull are concerned.
Yeah, we get a no-try here for Richard Owen, and the referee, the decision's correct. It's a knock-on from Dixon in the end, so no score for them.
But this was an indication of just how much Castleford were testing their arm and challenging the line.
Yeah, I
They're
thought
a bit unlucky there, actually.
I reckon Castleford got a really tough call. I believe that Berrigan, I think, played at the ball, and the ball's going in the direction of the Castleford line, and I believed it to be no try, but Paul's reacted really well and gone full length of the field and done extremely well to finish.
And the referee only asked the video referee to check on that. Then we got the Wielden try.
Yeah, I spoke during the commentary about Mano looking really dangerous down Hull's left, and they came up with a great score off the back of a ruck win. Again, a score here over on Hull's left side, and people pushing through and flooding through the line. The really key indicators here that Hull are very much on the money and really clinical tonight.
They'd say in soccer that the best time to score is right on the stroke of half-time. Is it exactly the same in rugby league? Great time to score, just as the hoot is sounding?
I think it's a fantastic time to score. I've never known a bad time to score, really. But you know
what I mean, psychologically.
For sure, yeah. And you know, it's going to give certainly Hull a bit of a breathing space. But for Terry Mattison, it also puts pressure on Terry now to come up with some plays and some sort of idea on how to break this Hull try-line defence, because defensively on their own line, I think they've looked really, really strong.
Do you think, you know, that it's maybe one score too many now for Castleford, or do they have a comeback in them?
If you watched Wigan against Huddersfield a few weeks ago, Huddersfield were in front 19-8, sorry, with 3 minutes to go. Wigan went on and to win the game. The game is such that you can score tries in quick succession, and you know, I'm sure that Terry Mattison won't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater just yet. I think that they've dominated for large parts. Field position, they just need to be a little bit more clinical in certain areas.
Is it true that you haven't slept much since that Wigan defeat?
I sleep.
Nightmares.
Oh yes. You know, we played well that day. I thought we did some good stuff, but ultimately we didn't put it away. And I think that's got to be the conversation now that Peter's going to be having with his team. But last week against, I think it was Bradford, they got into this stage at half-time. I thought they'd been playing particularly well, but didn't go on with the job. I think that's the challenge for them tonight, to go on with the job, because I think Castleford are going to be aggressive, certainly with offload second half. I think they've got some great offloaders in Guttenbeil in particular. I think Castleford had no problem getting forward around the rucks, so it's not all lost for Castleford.
Well, for an hour last week against Bradford, Hull matched them and slugged it out toe-to-toe, but in the last quarter of the match, they fell apart, Hull, and Bradford came through and won the game quite easily in the end. I'm not saying it's going to be easy for Castleford here tonight, but that does offer Terry Mattison and his men some hope. But it's a long way back into this match now. 16 points the difference. The second half on the way.
The new Mazda 5. It's time to play.
Where am I going to get $300,000 for school?
You ever studied blackjack?
Are you talking about counting cards?
Inspired by the incredible true story, 21.
2 strongbows.
Nice one.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Dave?
Strongbow.
Wake up, mate, yeah?
Total first pint refreshment.
Starting free with tomorrow's Daily Mirror. Get the entire first and second series of I'm Alan Partridge. Collect every episode from this classic comedy series.
Back of the net. Kiss my face.
Get the complete first and second series of I'm Alan Partridge. Free. This fantastic DVD offer starts only with tomorrow's Daily Mirror.
Aha!
All right, sit down.
You could earn 34k a year. The banter's not bad either.
From Academy Award-winning director Martin McDonagh comes a relentlessly funny comedy, 5 stars.
Back off, Shorty. You don't know karate.
In Bruges.
She is my one desire. He is Usher, usher, usher. Sense for women and men. Stand by.
After years of pushing top athletes to their limits, we understand the fine line between winning and losing. Sometimes it's just a few milliliters.
And this month's Quick Fit offer is 25% off 4 Pirelli tyres. Quick Fit will fix it.
Also watch in high definition.
On average, the last try is scored on 74 minutes. Sky Bet, it matters more when there's money on it.
Our next appointment from the Engage Super League on Sky Sports comes tomorrow. The live match at the Gulf Farm Stadium, Huddersfield against the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats, 5:55. Sky Sports 2 and HD2. HD2 channel 409. Castleford 2, Hull 18 at the Jungle. And a big second half needed from the Tigers. Let's just put the win, by the way, that Castleford had last week against St Helens into some sort of perspective. In August 2006, St Helens came here and won 72 points to 4. On Sunday, the Tigers beat the Saints 30-24. Knock on in the in-goal area from the kickoff. Not the start that either Michael Wainwright or his coach Terry Mattison would have wanted.
It was a massive kick into the corner, and you've got to be aware.
Donlan with a little fumble, and then Wainwright just didn't pick it up cleanly enough.
But you've got to have your head on. You've got to be thinking all the time. You can't just be saying, well, it was warm in the dressing room.
Now a penalty for Hull. Second effort on the floor.
You'd kick at goal, wouldn't you, if you were the Hull side?
Yeah, well, they must have heard you, Phil, because as Owen Guttenbeil grimaces, Mr. Ganson, the referee, makes the signal to send his touch judges behind the posts.
It's very difficult to come from more than 3 scores behind, which was what Castleford will have to do if this kick is successful from Tickle. There's a penalty against Matt Cook and his teammates. 40 metres out, straight in front. I think I'll back Danny Tickle to get this one.
I think what the kick does as well, I'm sure Castleford will come out of the second half all pumped up and ready to go, and all of a sudden the game stops. There's been a knock on and a drop out, now there's a penalty, and all that emotion that's come out of the dressing room has just fizzed away.
It pricks the bubble, doesn't it? And the tension is off.
Well, now the responsibility's on Danny Tickle to kick this goal, because all 3 of you have backed him by the sound of things.
Well, I think he knows he's strong enough to make sure that even if he misses it, they'll get the ball back from the dropout.
He's such a good kicker, though. He's exactly 40 metres away, as you can see. And he's absolutely dead-eyed with that boot. He really is. 20 points to 20. Castleford Tigers now, to win this match, have to score 4 times. 20 points to 2 to Hull. Let's go down to the sideline and join Adam Dykes with Bill.
Adam, this is always going to be a tricky prospect coming to the bottom side, and to be in this position is pretty healthy at the moment.
Yeah, it is. You know, we had a good first half. It's very basic and very simple, but I mean, at this stage, the way we're going the last, 5, 6, 7 weeks, it's what we needed, and it's been a good first half.
Because I'd imagine when you're in the position you've been in, confidence is probably a bit fragile.
Yeah, it is. You know, obviously when you're not winning games, confidence, you know, is not building. So, you know, we're just trying to plug away and get a win up and, you know, build from there. But like I said, the first half was good, so hopefully we can finish it off.
And as you say, he's keeping it simple, the key.
Yeah, it is. I think at the moment for us, you know, we've got to keep it simple and, you know, just kick to the corners and build some pressure, you know. So hopefully we can shut this crowd up by scoring 1 or 2 tries in the second half.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Adam Dykes, he has played in... he's missed 6 games, he's played in 4. 4 or 5 anyway. He's not had the best start to his career up there at the KC Stadium. But Hull have had a great start to the second half. 2 points on the board, and Motu Tony, a bit of a sliced kick. And pouched easy enough by Richard Owen. But it's a big ask for Castleford now.
They're not out of it, Eddie, mainly due to the fact that some of their approach play was pretty good in that first half. They just lacked that killer punch just to finish it off. Some of the last kicks especially really went astray. They were trying to dab it into the in-goal area rather than give it a little bit more height.
Level pegging at Headingley, and Wigan on the board against the Catalan Dragons in the other 2 matches. St Helens still well in control of the match against Harlequins. Here we're 5 minutes into the second half, and Castleford now have a penalty. Scott Moore, dancing little run, just catching them.
It's important that Castleford get a contribution from all 17 players. With Guttenbeil and Westerman off the field, it's the responsibility of the 13 guys currently out there to try and put a dent in this whole side and possibly put some points on the board.
Scott Moore flicks the pass up to Liam Higgins. Higgins, of course, is a former Hull prop. Moore gives the ball then to Sherwin, and Sherwin to Donlan, and Donlan is halted by Berrigan's tackle. Here's Sherwin again, comes back here to Boyle. A big test of this Hull defence. If Hull survive this set of 6, they might think that it will be their night. Hubie. Scott Moore, dummy half, last tackle, underneath the sticks, and there's Sherwin, will hoist it high and wide to the right. Well claimed, but not so well claimed then by the youngster.
We spoke to Adam Dykes earlier. We went to the sideline and had a chat with Adam, and he spoke very much about his team growing in confidence and doing the simple things. One of the things that you get confidence by is by defending your try line well, and I certainly think that Hull are doing that at the moment, in particular Berrigan, who defensively has been really strong.
I just wonder whether you think that the fact that Castleford played admirably against St Helens last Sunday, I wonder whether they lifted so much for that with the 5-day turnaround, it's coming back to bite them tonight.
It could be the case, Eddie, but let's not forget that Hull, in the final quarter against Bradford last week, they just capitulated. They're still not out of this, Castleford, as long as they can get a try pretty early. Just something to lift their spirits, but that's a good kick.
Excellent kick, but it's picked up by Donlan, but a great run from Houghton. He just did enough to put him off. Dowes comes in for the kill. And Richard Owen, he gets as far as Berrigan and Burnett. We'll see these 2 teams, of course, in Cardiff, the opening weekend of May for Millennium Magic. All 12 Super League clubs travelling down to the Welsh capital, down the M5 and various other motorways into Wales. And, well, we will see them all, and there's the telephone number and the website if you want any further details about a cracking weekend of rugby league in the city of Cardiff.
Just a little bit too long there, Wheeldon. Done all the hard work. Dow's low down and then just give it away. As I say, don't write the Tigers off if they can get a score pretty quickly.
That's what they're looking for here. It's an old cliche, I think, but Castleford have got to be the next to score. Higgins drives it in.
Got through a lot of work, this kid. Not frightened to take the ball up.
Neither is Scott Moore. He changes the direction of the attack here. Good flowing movement here from Castleford, and Dixon was nearly in. Important tackle from Craig Hall, that. Back it comes now. to Sherwin. Sherwin then gives it to Moore.
Bit of a bad option there. They went back. There were 6 players on that short blind side in defence.
Sherwin once again. Good ball. Chance here. And they are in with Matt Cook on his debut. Matt Cook of the Bradford Bulls on loan at Castleford till the end of the season. And Matt Cook, has he just thrown a little spark into the Castleford Tigers camp to kick off a revival. First try for the Tigers, 1 for Bradford. And a try against Hull for the Bulls last week.
It all came about by that silly penalty there by Scott Wheeldon. This is beautiful play by the halfback. Back on the inside, took the dummy. He knew that the big fella Cook was going there. It was going to be very difficult for this man to fit into the pattern. Just this week joined the Castleford Tigers, and can Hubie add the extra 2 points? This will lift them.
It will lift them if he kicks it, and it will push them on, and it will give their supporters some hope as well. The kick is successful. Castleford 8, Hull 20, and it doesn't look such a big mountain just now. But Matt Cook with the try. Only played 4 times for Bradford this year, but how ironic that he scored for the Bulls last week against Hull, and he's done it again on his debut tonight.
That really was classy play. They found the substitute, Danny Horton, just out of position, back on the inside. They thought he was going to go on the dummy, the halfback.
Steve-O, you're going to upset Danny's mum, because she's told Bill on the sideline he's not Horton, as we've been calling him all year, he's Houghton. We've both of us got to get it through our skulls.
OK, but that's my Australian accent, sort of.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, Mrs. Houghton.
So you have an Australian accent, do you, Steve-O?
Sure do, mate.
Australian, eh?
Yeah.
And this might sound strange with 30 minutes still to go in this game, but in a way, Castleford's focus needs to be on the defence, not the attack. I think that they can score 12 points easily in the remainder of this game, but to get level and possibly win it, they need to prevent Hull from scoring again in the match.
Here's the try scorer, Matt Cook. Let's go down to Bill, 10 minutes into the second half. Castleford news, Bill.
Eddie Phil talks optimistically about Castleford's prospects, but they're not helped by the absence of Aaron Guttenbill and Luke Dawn, who are both on the sidelines, neither likely to reappear, both with injury problems, with rib injury problems. Guttenbill we saw laid out towards the end of the first half. He picked his up then. Luke Dawn picked his up very early in the game. It's got worse and he was unable to continue. So they are going to struggle to come back.
But at the moment, their tails are up again at the start of this second half, just as they were at the start of the first.
It's amazing what a try can do to a side.
Sherwin again. Good ball, short ball, also to the runner, Liam Higgins. Moore. And Moore just slips and thought about releasing the pass quickly to Peter Lupton. Now Sherwin fires the pass, it's Shenton. And Hull having to muscle up in defence yet again. Moore finds Sherwin. On the bounce, not the best to Lupton, and he managed to hang on to it somehow, but they've lost a little bit of momentum there. Last tackle. Good ball, Hubie. Out the back. Still in play. That's a knock on by Sherwin.
That'll be the turnover.
It's the turnover. They just lost momentum, last 2 tackles, that's a
little bit of a panic there, but I must say the halfback, Brent Sherwin, is putting himself about. Obviously, Terry Madison has said to him, come on, you've got the ability to control this game, and that's a silly penalty, not standing square.
I certainly agree with you, Steve-O. I know that, you know, Castleford are missing some key ball players in Westerman and Guttenbill and Dawn, and Sherwin is all over the place at the moment. He's trying everything he knows. The vast experience from Sydney. He's trying to pull all the players out he can possibly pull out. I think Peter Lupton needs to certainly help him as well, and Scott Moore.
I think he just caught sight of Terry Mattison's slightly bald pate. The back row of the stand over on that far side. Ewan Dowes for Hull, 10 metres inside Castleford territory. Finds Berrigan, who gives it to Manu. Berrigan again, and Tony. Good hands. Craig Hall halted. Good defence. They're trying to force him over the sideline. They don't. Houghton off the deck to Berrigan. Berrigan looked, slid the kick in, looking for Jamie Thackeray, but it's well watched by the fullback Donlan.
Got a top game as well, hasn't he? Nominated as a winger, but as soon as the kick-off, he went back into that fullback position. Richard Owen, the youngster, he went out onto the wing,
where he has played 7 of the first 10 on the wing. Richard Owen, 17-year-old.
He certainly fitted in well, Stuart Donlan there, and it's an important factor. I was surprised there that Hull didn't go for a power play just to try to keep Castleford way down in their own 10.
Last tackle here for Cass. Moore. And a dink over the top by Sherwin. He's chasing it himself as well. And he hacks it on further. And there's a race here. Who will win it? Does Dixon win the race? Does Kirk Dixon win the race? He believes he does. Well, they're celebrating like they scored the try, but is that to try and con video referee Richard Silverwood?
Well, they're all onside.
Well, Sherwin,
beautiful
onside
play
there, and then Sherwin follows the kick up, so they're onside again.
Yeah, beautiful play there. He knew the place to place it. Didn't go for it. Realised he had to bend down, maybe run the risk of being and knocking on. But that's okay, because he's put every player on side. He's the man that's kicked it. But who has got the hand to it?
I think Gareth Rayner saves this.
It's pretty close, Phil, should I say. I don't think anybody's got
Gareth Rayner's knocked it over the dead ball line.
Yeah, certainly haven't placed it down, either one of the players. And I think I'm with you, Phil. Yeah, this will be a dropout from underneath the sticks. The Tigers will get. That is confirmation. That's a great effort from Rayner. That is a wonderful thing from the winger. We know that they pay them big money to score tries, but it's at times like this that could have just stopped the momentum of the Tigers.
Should be the dropout. Like he has come to the rescue for Hull here. If it's no try, he has. Gareth Rayner. Oh, and I tell you what, I just noticed him then. He had a big sigh when that decision came up. He wasn't 100% sure, Gareth Rayner, but he's happy enough that he came to the rescue of the party there.
It'll be interesting to see how many times Sherwin actually touches the ball this set. It's been absolutely fantastic for Castleford, but there's got to be a price to pay for Sherwin with the energy that he's expelling once he's got the ball. Hull have now put Mano on, and I'm pretty sure Berrigan will put Mano on top of Sherwin and maybe cause him some more problems. But let's watch Sherwin.
Here goes Ryan Boyle again for Castleford. Head bandaged. He was bleeding in the first half. Scott Moore, good run. Good ball to Donlan. Good play from Donlan, taking 2 with him. Hall and Berrigan.
Hanging back a Hull. They're not moving forward. They're making 2 or 3 and then stopping to see what's happening, and that's dangerous.
It was a great pass from Sherwin to Lupton. Oh, the ball is lost. And how was it lost? It was knocked on. Sherwin's furious with the touch judge.
It's up to the ball carrier to make sure that he handles it. And he didn't. Washbrook was claiming that he never touched it.
Here's the no try again. Wonderful work from Rayner, but he wasn't 100% sure he'd got a hand to it. No try came up on the big screen, and watch the reaction from him. Oh. He rolled his eyes, but I'm sure I saw him blow his cheeks out when he saw that as a big sigh of relief.
Don't worry, Eddie. He had a huge sigh of relief.
It's good work from him.
That could have changed the game. That there's little doubt in my mind. And now, Peter Sharp will get the message out and say, hey, come on, fellas. Position is all important now. We don't need the fancy stuff. We are holding on to a pretty convincing lead.
Jamie Thackeray, there he is. He's back at Hull. He had a spell at Castleford in 2003, 2004. There are players on either side here who are up against their former team. Bags of them. and there'll be plenty up against former clubs tomorrow night on Sky Sports as well, when Huddersfield take on Wakefield.
That was a great kick and chase there. And just as we mentioned, they've got to make sure that they don't give us silly with penalty away. It was a problem for Hull at times in that first half.
Leeds have just edged ahead against Warrington at half-time. Here's Ryan Clayton. Scott Moore scampers in at dummy half for the Tigers. Gives it to Boyle. Houghton is prepared to stand his ground. A real struggle going on at the JJB Stadium. Wigan 8, Catalan Dragons 10. They're going really well, the French team, aren't they?
Full of confidence. They're winning away from home, something they haven't done for a couple of years. Can they force the error? The Tigers have to really get involved now. Get the ball carrying arm, try to dislodge it.
Good hit by Ryan Clayton, but he didn't hang on to Mike Burnett. That was Houghton, got the ball away. Good movement. Well, St Helens and Harlequins, it's a point festival. Looks like that's all over. Might be here if Willie Mano... Oh, he's got to be penalised for that. The tackle was completed and Willie Mano got up and made a run. He should have played the ball.
Peter Sharp will be furious. A golden opportunity to just each up the clock and then kick and get a second set of 6. No doubt about it. Owen had done the job.
So Castleford, can they build on the territory that they gained with that penalty?
That looks high.
Here is Peter Lupton. Peter Lupton. Strength being shown from Lupton. Another ex-Hull man in the Castleford ranks. Scott Moore on loan from St Helens to Sherwin. Pops the ball up. A drive in from Matt Cook. Moore again. Looks for the runner on his shoulder, and he was there. Was Liam Higgins.
Nearly got there as well. It was good play. The combination, you know, with Scott Moore and Brent Sherwin can win this for the Tigers.
Great kick from Sherwin to the corner. Dixon gets there, but did he touch the corner flag?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. The referee doesn't have to go to the video referee for confirmation of that.
Good work by the touch judge. But what an option. And Gareth Rayner has come to the rescue yet again.
Well, they're getting close, aren't they, Castleford? Yeah. With a run. Straight down to Bill, injury news, Hull.
Ewan Dow's struggling for Hull FC and ironically taken out by his own man. I think that's what did the injury. Willie Mano and he collided, and Dowsy came off second best. He's had a bit of treatment on the run, and there is concern about his fitness. In fact, Dowsy's off. It's the left knee that looks to be the problem.
Washbrook here for Hull. If he can smuggle the ball to Byrne, there might be a chance here for Todd Byrne. Good defence from Lupton. Washbrook. And Tickle slides the kick in. Oh, it's a good kick too, and Donlan to the rescue for the Tigers. Well, big problems in the forwards for Hull with Dow's off, King out, Carvel out. No wonder they've got Thackeray back.
Great thinking there by Danny Tickle. He knows that possession is going to be vital. Dinked it through, and as he has done throughout this game, Stuart Donlan diffuses it.
Motutoni just missed the goal line dropout. That's why Castleford are up on halfway line.
It's a problem for Peter Sharp, isn't it? They'll be running out of forwards soon. This is where the Hull side, they've got to really dig deep.
Peter Cusack at 31's done a great job for Hull. Only had one absence all year. Running out of interchanges, Castleford. 4 for them, 5 for Hull. That's Thackeray again. Good offload. This is Berrigan. 14 times he played for Australia, 5 times for Queensland. Radford.
They've got to look to the likes of Danny Tickle to take control here.
This is Houghton. And Berrigan slides the kick through. Thackeray's after it. I think Thackeray has touched that down.
So do I.
And so does Steve Ganson. Jamie Thackeray with the try. He has returned to Hull after all his trials and tribulations at Headingley. He was asked to leave by Leeds. His second debut for Hull last week against Bradford. A Challenge Cup winner in 2005, and this is a big try for Jamie Thackeray.
Beautiful kick there by Berrigan. He knew exactly where to go, did the big fella Thackeray. Lovely work yet again from Danny Houghton. And Thackeray gets fingertips. That'll do nicely. Good positioning by Steve Ganson. There you can see it all. He's well into the in-goal area. And little doubt in his mind. Didn't have to go to the screen. He pointed. And boy, that is a real big, big try for Hull. They were just wobbling slightly.
Well, Jamie Thackeray has rejoined Hull. As I say, he was a Challenge Cup winner with the club in 2005. He made it into the Great Britain team that year as well. And he is looking to resurrect a career that looked as though it had gone off the rails when they showed him the exit door at Headingley. And Danny Tickle now with the opportunity to add 2 more points to the Hull total. Been faultless with the boot tonight, hasn't he? 4 from 4.
You wonder, as you just look at the Tigers players stood waiting for this kick to go over, whether they still believe, Eddie, they have a chance, and whether they believe or whether they don't, will determine their performance over the remainder of this game. You have to always think, with over 10 minutes left in the game, you have the potential to score 3 times.
Danny Tickle, safe and sound with the boot, 26 points to 8.
And it's been a good move by Peter Sharp to bring Danny Houghton on, because you can see there they were slow to give him. He got plenty of pace, good pass. It allowed Berrigan all the time in the world, and Thackeray finishes it off.
They're delighted, Hull. Done it tough this year on their way here, you would think now, to their first victory away from home.
You'd have to say so, Eddie, but full credit to them, you know, they went so close. On both occasions, Dixon could have scored twice, and he was denied on both occasions by the same man, and that is Gareth Rayner. He must feel pretty confident now. He's been under a lot of pressure as Peter Sharp.
Well, when you see the players he's got out, and if they can grind out results like this until the likes of Singh and Richard Horne, Graham Horne, Adam Dykes, Carvel, King. Well, King, I think they believe he's gone for the season. But Richard Whiting is also battling away through injury. You would think when he gets personnel like that back on board, John Sharp, your namesake wouldn't be too worried about the future.
Yeah, I think what you get also is you get plenty of energy coming back into the season, because these players who've been carrying injuries are nice and fresh come playoff time anyway. I think that the loss to Dowes looked like a nasty one to me. I know he'd been carrying that knee injury for a little while and has had a little time out of the game. It looks pretty serious.
You would believe, even though Hull FC at the moment next to bottom of the table, they are potential top 6.
Yeah, I think they've got too much quality for them to be languishing where they are, and I think on this performance as well, we've seen a very dogged, determined team that's been very, very patient and got to the back end of the sets and scored tries off kicks. I think, in particular, I've been very impressed with Berrigan tonight. I think he's had a great game. I like the combination over on that left side with Manu also.
That ball was lost, and the official didn't see it. And Matt Cook is not too impressed about this. And neither will Terry Madison, to come up with an error right from the scrum base. He certainly was having attention there from Lee Ratford. Ratford is...
Ratford leaves him alone, though. No.
He pulls away very late. Either way...
Chance here for Hull to wrap it up, you feel? This is Berrigan.
It's really come to the fore. We talked about Brent Sherwood trying to control it. And it's Berrigan that's taken control of this game now.
Motuchoni scored in the closing moment of the first half. Can't get away from the marker defence there. Here's Houghton again. Now it's with Washbrook. Good ball to Kirk Yeeman. Wide they go to Todd Byrne. And a good job that Shenton was there.
Did well to keep in, didn't he? He knew that the cavalry was coming across. Wouldn't want to go over the whitewash.
Washbrook again.
This is where Hull just have to calm down. A little kick. Put some air to it. Get it up.
Houghton. Berrigan. Up it goes. Looking for the runners out wide. Well diffused, though, by young Richard Owen.
Took it well under a lot of pressure.
17 years of age. 18 later this month. Another outstanding prospect. They're all over Super League this year, aren't they? I know there's so many injuries and these young players have had to be thrown into the deep end. But John Sharp, a lot of them are swimming. They're not sinking.
What you get with young kids these days is particular, they don't have any fear. We've got two young guys at our joint at the moment who are playing extremely well in Michael Lawrence and Leroy Cudjoe. And they have no fear, they have no nerves, and they're really brave and willing to make plays.
The only people with nerves when youngsters are on the field are the coaches. But you have to live with their mistakes as you have to live with their brilliance. That's a great pass. This is Scott Moore. That was a wonderful ball from Sherwin. Opened up the whole defence.
Good tackle from Tony, and that'll be a penalty. Actually, that could be 10 minutes in the sin bin. That is a real professional foul. And that's what they're claiming. Saying, come on.
Boyle will come on the charge for Castleford.
Hold.
Scott Moore waits again. Goes right. Flicks the pass to Hubie just on.
Scott Moore he hasn't run away from the dummy half. Maybe he'll try a solo this attempt.
So he gives it on the fly out wide, and that's good defence from Houghton and co. Here he is again, Sherwin. Sherwin, the pass goes to ground. And
that's play on, is it?
No, it's knocked on according to the referee, a forward pass. It's a head and feet to Hull. They survive again.
Well, it was a hard, knock on. No doubt about it. Just got the hands to it. Bang. I think he actually thought that he was going to be the dummy runner there.
So Hull will try and work this ball away from their own line, but that's good defence from Westerman and Dixon to push Todd Byrne back. The referee wants a word here with the trainer. He's told him to get off the field once.
You're behind the line, you've got no water, he's just giving instruction. Go to the bench, mate, go to the bench.
A tip for him, I reckon. I don't need to speak to Steve Ganser. No, don't talk to him.
Well, he's been obviously sent out by Terry Mattison to pass some...
No, it's Andy Last.
By Peter Sharp to pass some messages on. And Steve Ganson was very aware of that because he told him to get away from the scrum. And he's back on. Andy Last has come back on the field. And he still hasn't got anything in his hand. There's no water. He's trying to get Danny Houghton off the field. Last tackle here for Hull.
Well, the only thing I think of is that Danny Houghton, because of the scrum cap, couldn't hear the call. He had to virtually run on there and bring him back off. Escort him. This will be a great fill-in for this Hull FC side. Peter Sharp will be very, very pleased indeed because they've had to dig deep. And they were very fortunate in that first half that they handled the first 15 minutes. There was a real assault from the Tigers, and slowly but surely they took their opportunities. Castleford failed to do that, especially in the second half.
Sherwin, good ball. Westerman standing, wasn't tackled. Back to Sherwin. Out the back door, and Owen keeps it going again. Oh, he's dropped by Andrew Henderson. Let's get some news on Ewan Dowes, and Hull supporters will be listening carefully to this. Bill.
Well, in some respects it's good news. Ewan Dowes is off. It is a knee problem. It's just a tweak of the knee that's the problem. He won't be coming back, but compared with some of the injury problems Hull FC have had in recent weeks, this is comparatively good news. It's nothing serious.
Hold on, wait till we're found.
Yes, that is good news for Ewan Dowes, and I think he's been told as well with that reaction. It's 2 years now since Peter Sharp moved in at Hull. He won 8 from 10 last year and finished inside the top 4. Of course, after the Challenge Cup success in 05 and the grand final appearance 06, that was the least that anyone up in East Yorkshire thought would be the norm. And this has been a surprising start. Super League extra time following this match via the red button on your handset. At 9:30 we'll be with you for that or thereabouts, maybe a minute or two earlier.
Well, that surprised me. Hull trying to keep the ball alive at 26-8 and into the final 10 minutes. They just have to take it very carefully. That looked like a throttle tackle.
I think what you've seen from Hull is a very patient performance overall. I think that they've kicked out the sets, the completion rates have been very good, and the kick chase has been extremely good. So overall they've been very patient second half.
Well, it's a massive win for St Helens. Massive win against Harlequins, who were going so well before tonight. When the wheels come off the Quins, they tend to come off, don't they?
To be fair, I think everybody thought that St Helens, and that was a high shot. That was silly play by Manu. I think everybody thought that St Helens would bounce back. They've been under a lot of criticism in the past week. Here's the high shot from
Willie Manu. James Roby saying there is no crisis at Nosey Road, and 58-12 seems to indicate that the Man of Steel is not talking with forked tongue.
They're still a quality side, you can't write them off.
And Paul Sculthorpe was down to make his return tonight. I wonder if he has lasted. Another mistake from Castleford as they just try and push it a bit.
You know, with these two sides at the bottom of the table, and probably confidence a little low for both sets of players, the bounce of the ball and an element of luck can have a massive bearing on the match. And I think when you go back to the incident in the first half, when Craig Hall got the fortunate bounce and went 80 metres to score, it was perhaps the turning point in the match, and possibly the turning point in Hull's season. They had, of course, drawn away in Catalan 2 weeks ago when the coach Peter Sharp signalled that as perhaps the upstart of the season, but lost at home sadly to Bradford. But tonight here, with that important score when they were already behind on the scoreboard, really just have maybe have given them the element of confidence. When you need a little bit of luck, they've had it there.
I think also the score just before half-time, I believe, to make it, I think, 18-2 was a massive score in the game.
St Helens, by the way, at Nosey Road, it's the second highest score of the season in the Engage Super League. And the biggest, Huddersfield 64, Castleford 12.
Yeah, great game as well, one of the greatest games this year, certainly.
A real contest. Huddersfield Wakefield, wonder what the score will be then. The only way you can find out, unless you're going along to the Gal Farm, join us, 5:55, Sky Sports 2 HD2. And let's hope you are going to the game tomorrow at the Gal Farm Stadium. They're working tirelessly both on and off the field at the Giants, as they are here at Castleford, to promote themselves, and at Hull. In fact, all the Super League is doing a great job. Being watched by more supporters each and every week.
Been a tough contest as well tonight, and Castleford, they'll be looking, especially their coach Terry Madison, say, come on, let's finish with a flourish.
There's it all over at Saints, 58-12. Here's Craig Hubie for Castleford.
There'll be
6.5 minutes to go.
There'll be some touches that Terry Madison will be able to look at and say, well, we were pretty positive in that department, but there have been too many errors.
Back to one.
Referee wipes the tackle count down here. Henderson at dummy half. That's a drive forward by Matt Cook again. He'll be disappointed to end up on the losing side here tonight on this debut. Sherwin. Oh, the ball missed everybody, and it was very well collected, that by Dixon. Fantastic work, that. Such reaction from him. It's Sherwin. And a chance here for Liam Higgins. Henderson, Sherwin, good hands, and a good try, I think. from Peter Lupton. He was not held, and he slid towards the line and then plunked the ball over the line for the try. Consolation for Castleford and Peter Lupton then.
Good build-up as well.
Another former Hull man here. One of 4 in this Tigers squad.
Quick hands to utilise the dummy. Oh, beautiful play. Again, Brent Sherwin at the heart of it. Coming back very short. This is the way to come onto a football. Come on the angle. No one's to him. Nothing that Motu Tony could do about it. And Lupton, mere consolation, as Eddie said, but gives some hope for Terry Mattison in the future.
And Hubie just cracks the conversion attempt wide. 26 points to 12 now, though.
Castleford have to be really encouraged by the response, certainly in the second half. I think failed my maths actually, but you know they're winning this second half. I think it's 10-8, so certainly playing with plenty of field position. Actually, I wonder if the statsman will be telling us about the number of tackles that Hull's actually made on their own line. I think they've been pretty dominant on their own try line. I just believe that Wealdon panicked a little bit on that decision to go in on Sherwin and put his outside man under a little bit too much pressure.
Well, they've put the worst start to a Super League season since 1999 behind them. They finished joint bottom of the table that year with Huddersfield. Then they merged with Gateshead, and fortunes in that part of the world were reborn. The rest, as they say, is history.
It's just down to solid defence now. Peter Sharp will get the message out and say, territory, good positioning. Make sure that the Tigers don't get anywhere near the halfway line, so that when it comes to the last, they won't get much downfield possession. At times, the whole defence has been quite good. Other occasions, they've been a little bit slack in that round the play of the ball area. It's something that I'm sure that the players and Peter Sharp will work upon till the end of this season.
Short pass for Matt Cook, who's taken it forward willingly, has Cook.
Boy, that's a good kick. This is all pressure.
Motu Tony under pressure. They try to push him back over the try line. Referee shouts he was held.
He's had a big night as well as Motu Tony. He's had plenty to do.
Hold, go.
3 minutes from the end, Motu Tony, his try really on the stroke of half-time, took the wind right out of Castleford's sails, as John Sharp said during the second half. That possibly was the critical score, John.
Yeah, I believe it to be. When we look back and we look over the game and analyse some of the key elements within the game, I just think the score right on half-time probably made it a little bit too much for Castleford, particularly when Hull took the 2 points immediately after half-time.
And the amazing thing about it, John, is that it was Hull in that first half that only had real 4 opportunities, and they posted 3 tries.
Yeah, Hull's been really patient, I think, tonight. I think they've been basic in some of the things that they've done. Defensively, I think they've been really good on their old try line. I think you're right that they allowed Castleford too many metres in yardage. I think Castleford had plenty of good goal forward, but the loss of Dutton, Bale and Dawn, I think, were key indicators of it being a long night for Sherwin in particular.
Big hits, yeah. Boy.
Big hit in unison.
Yeah, did that go above the horizontal? Certainly looked it. He got up with a wistful smile at the official.
Peter Sharp in review in a couple of days' time. I'm pretty sure he'll be showing that final clip of the boys celebrating. The boys getting together, and obviously I think it's an indicator that the old boys are coming back into some shape and some form.
It's just 2 wins from 6 at home for Castleford this year. It's not the sort of record that Terry Mattison, who turned 41 last month, will have wanted. Particularly when the former Brisbane Broncos star is constantly being linked with the vacancies in Australia.
But their other home defeats, Eddie, have all been games which could have gone into the last minute really with a certainty unknown, and you know they could have won possibly all three of those with an element of luck. This has been by far the most one-sided home fixture.
That's great work, and that's another try for Craig Hall. Fantastic work down the left-hand side, but the referee has had a call from the touch judge. He's not sure that there wasn't a foot in touch then by one of the Hull players in the build-up to this. Did Rayner tiptoe along the line?
I think he gets rid of it before he gets anywhere near. Yeah, that's fine. And it was all started by a wonderful piece of magic by Sean Berrigan on that short blind side. He really is a thoughtful player, is Berrigan. This will be the confirmation.
Try is given to Craig Hall, his second try of the night. He is a prolific try scorer. He got the first for Hull, and it looks like, and I'm sure now, he has got the last.
Watch for Berrigan sweeping on that short blind side. What a beautiful step. That is excellent. Hall's pass to Gareth Rayner. Look at this. Oh, superb. Top quality, and he fully deserves that. Is that a big game also? What a way to finish. John Sharp was talking about building confidence in teams, and when you score tries like that, it's worth $1 million.
Yes, great try from Hull, and I just wonder whether this will be the watershed in their season. I wonder if this is the night when the confidence will grow. He said, Peter Sharp, in the build-up to this, about time we stopped talking about all the injuries and concentrated on playing. Well, his men have done that, Phil.
Yes, they have, and they've grown, I think, in confidence and performance. Players like Yeeman now starting to look dangerous again with the ball. Tickle with the last shot of the game. And that should send him and his teammates home happy.
He's had a fantastic night with the boot, hasn't he? Missed nothing. 32-12, and Peter Sharp talking to Jamie Thackeray, one of the reinforcements he's brought in. And Craig Hall, his centre, his outstanding young centre, Craig Hall. Only 20 years of age, but he has scored 6 tries now, and had a try disallowed in Perpignan that would have won that particular game against the Catalan Dragons. He's their leading try scorer so far, Craig Hall, including 2 against Warrington in the defeat in round 1. For Castleford, another disappointing night, but for Hull, maybe the beginnings of something.
Well, that's what they need to do now. They need to transfer and translate the success here tonight into a positive week in training and preparation for the next game, and try and build some momentum. All the best sides put a run of victories together, don't they, as they climb the league table, and it's certainly possible before we even reach the halfway stage.
Well, Steve-O has decided that the Man of the Match award tonight goes to the Australian Sean Berrigan of the Hull side, and he is waiting to talk now to Bill Arthur.
Sean, congratulations on a Man of the Match performance. There you go. Must be great to hear those Hull supporters singing in celebration.
Yeah, for sure. It's about time we repaid them. You know, they follow us all over the country, and it was good for the boys to get a win up for the fans tonight.
And this was, in the end, a pretty comprehensive win.
Yeah, you know, I thought we played pretty well tonight. We needed, guts out to win, and there's a lot of improvement left in us, so we know that, and it was just good to get the 2 points.
Under a bit of pressure early on?
Yeah, you know, they started really well, and, we knew it was going to be tough, but all credit to our boys, though. We hung in there all night, we got the win.
Is confidence a bit fragile at the moment?
No, not at all, it's just one of those things. A lot of things weren't going our way. We had a lot of injuries, and we're just going to hang in there and play for each other, and we'll be right.
Congratulations on the Man of the Match performance. Apart from the fizz, you also get £100 to give to a charity if you'd care to nominate one.
Yeah, the Kids Cancer Trust.
Well done. Congratulations, Sean.
Thanks a lot.
Hull skipper Lee Radford joins us now, and Sean was saying you owe these supporters, don't you?
Yeah, certainly, and most of all, I think we all have coaching staff. They've been copping a lot of flack over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I think it's a little bit injustice. We've got half the squad set up in the stand, and we're lucky to get 14 training on a good day. So I think we stripped everything down to basics during the week at training, and I think it's paid dividends tonight.
So in that respect, the game plan just about worked perfectly, didn't it? Because you seem to be keeping it simpler.
Look, we get a decent game plan every week. It's us blokes who's not sticking to it. When we stick to it, it works. When we don't, go away from it. It's it's our fault, and like I say, the coaching staff are copping some flack, and it's it's uncalled for. Give us a shot when all the team's fit and we're firing on all cylinders.
Is there a feeling of relief though, because this was potentially a tricky? I mean, you could have ended up on bottom of the table tonight.
Yeah, certainly, and nobody wants to sit down there, do they? And hopefully we've got a Challenge Cup tie next week, which hopefully we can rest one or two who's carrying knocks and kick on from there. Second half of the season, really looking forward to it.
Do you think the season is still there to be salvaged?
Certainly everybody's beating them. Saints came here last week and got tips, so everybody's beating everybody, and you just got to make sure you're in the six at the end of the season. And like you say, if we've got a fully fit side and we're playing well together, then who knows what can happen.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. Cheers.
There we are. That's the reaction from the Hull camp, and 32-12. A good night's work for Lee Radford and his team. Disappointment for Castleford. They started the match so well, but Hull just dug in. And I wonder, when we analyse the season 2008 come the end, whether this will be the night that Hull suddenly caught fire.
Well, at 18-2 down at half-time, Eddie, they knew they had to come up with something good, and it was a beautiful inside pass from Sherwin for the new signing Matt Cook. Give them some hope, and it really lifted them, and they had the opportunity. The kick right into the corner, and boy, didn't Rayner do well here. Dixon looking all the world as though he's going to get there first, and Rayner, it was proved with a slow motion replay that he got a hand to it, and this is the relief on the man. Boy, oh boy, was that close. And there was more to come. 5 minutes later, Castleford breached them. Sherwin's kick into the corner, and he just couldn't get to it. And the man who put him out, Rayner. Super stuff. And then we get the kick through from Berrigan. Superb. Superb here. Thackeray, he'll enjoy this. His second return to the Hull side, and that virtually pulled it all in. It was a mere consolation, really. Sherwin pass again, very short. Lupton took it exceptionally well. And just to round it off, the man of the match, Berrigan. Bit of quality. Super class. Look at that. In and out. Short, back on the inside. Hall provides. Rayner doesn't hit the whitewash. And Hall, a fantastic try. If there was ever a result that was going to lift the Hull outfit, it was tonight. Because Castleford, they were cock-a-hoop. They were controlling the game for the first 15 minutes. And then Hull clicked into gear. And I'm sure that Peter Sharp will be a very, very relieved man.
He will. Hopefully we'll be talking to Peter Sharp during our Red Button programme, which follows this. If you press the red button on your handsets for Super League Extra Time, you'll hear Peter Sharp and hopefully also Terry Mattison in that half hour. We've got John Sharp, his younger brother, here in the studio.
Yeah, by a few years as well, yeah.
How big a win is this for Peter?
I think it's the performance more than anything. I think the 2 points was really important to the team. I think that it was important they came here and played well, and I think they certainly did that. Listening to the comments from Radford afterwards, I think he's led his team really well as a captain. I think the players have come together tonight as well. I think there was one incident where they forced an error, the boys came together and celebrated. It was as though they'd scored a try, and I think that encourages this team to know that we're on the way back and we're playing well.
Yeah, I mean, they've been low on confidence purely and simply because of the injury crisis that they've had at the KC Stadium, haven't they? But tonight there are shoots there that the Hull fans will think, well, it might not be a forgotten chase on the top six.
Oh, it's still a long way to go, and the way that the results are going one way or the other, it seems as though anybody's just racing away with the league table. We saw Wigan get defeated by Leeds last weekend. The one thing that's probably been the biggest problem, okay, we know that they've had bad injuries, but Sean Berrigan, he's had to play in 4 or 5 different positions. This guy really excels when he takes the hooking role. And we saw tonight, once he took control out there, he's so effective. And if the forwards can lay the platform, and that's been their problem, a little bit like St. Helens early in the year, lose your big fellas up front, and you can't start playing well. Bring them back, and we saw a little bit of that, a lot more fire in the forwards tonight, and it laid the platform for the likes of Berrigan to take control.
OK, we've talked a lot about Hull. What about Castleford? I mean, it was always going to be a struggle for them, but hey, they've come up with some great performances here. They haven't done badly tonight, but that's now just 2 wins. But what wins? Leeds and St. Helens. It's there for them, isn't it?
I think the evidence is there that they can play.
Yeah.
You've just mentioned 2 fantastic victories for them. I think tonight, just too many injuries. I think too many injuries to key people such as Dawn and Guttenbeil in particular in the forwards. I'm not quite sure that Westerman was fit either, and I think that's put too much pressure on Sherwin and Moore around the ruck area, and probably made Castleford easier to defend against, certainly on Hull's try line.
But as we say, you know, we're saying that the shoots are there for Hull. The shoots are there certainly for Castleford, particularly at home. I mean, it doesn't matter, I suppose. Well, it does matter if they finish bottom, because their fans won't want to finish bottom, and for their licence application, they don't want to be at the foot of the table. That's obvious. But there are signs there that Castleford could be a force.
Yeah, I think the focus needs to be on performance and not on, you know, you're talking about relegation and it not being there anymore, but there's players' pride and coaches' pride, and now the player, now the team performs. You talk to people in Australia and they're very much aware that no one wants to win the wooden spoon, and I think we'll get that environment and that culture here too.
But an obvious man of the match, is that unfair to say?
No, there was quite a few good performances tonight. I thought Matatoni was outstanding, did everything that was asked of him. But I think it's when the forwards lay the platform, that is so important in our game. A lot of people say that, you know, I select, you know, man of the match because it's forwards, but if they don't work hard, you've got no chance of winning the game of rugby league, and it's so important. And field position. I mean, we were only talking about it earlier, that if you don't get field position, you've got no chance. And I think that, you know, John Sharp tomorrow will realise that they'll have to have a good kicking game tomorrow to have any chance of winning.
OK, Steve, I will vacate the studio. Phil Clark will be here for Super League Extra Time, which follows this, right after I've told you about the choice of live action tonight on Sky Sports. Friday Fight Night, the prize fight is next on Sky Sports 1. And Davis Cup Tennis is now over on Sky Sports Extra, the USA against France. And next for us from the Super League, the live match, it's Huddersfield-Wakefield at the Gal Farm tomorrow night, 5:55, Sky Sports 2 and HD2, channel 409. So don't forget, it is Super League Extra Time next, featuring in-depth match analysis and the preview of the weekend. You can access that via the red button on your handset, and you'll see Mr. Sharp, myself and Mr. Clark. Mr. Stevenson, good night. Good night to you.
More sport, news and views at skysports.com.
In nearly two-thirds of matches, the team that scores the first try will win the game. Sky Bet. It matters more when there's money.
A double-header from the Championship with Sky Bet. First, the fight for automatic promotion as West Brom take on Watford Saturday 5:15. Then Plymouth visit Sheffield Wednesday, Monday 7:30. Both games live, Sky Sports 1 and HD1. After beating Celtic at Parkhead, can Aberdeen avoid being on the wrong end of a giant killing? The Scottish FA Cup semi-final. Queen of the South v Aberdeen tomorrow at noon with Sky Bet, Sky Sports 1 and HD1.
Halford's price breakthrough. For the first time, we've an in-dash sat-nav and entertainment system for only $399.99. With a 7-inch touchscreen display, radio, CD player, MP3 connectivity, and fully installed for free. All for only $399.99. Only at Halford's now.
When a cop is framed for murder, he will do whatever it takes for justice to be served. Keanu Reeves, Forrest Whitaker, Street Kings.
Board the windows. Try to hide. They're coming.
30 Days of Night. The best vampire film in decades.
Vampires.
2-disc special edition DVD. Plus a limited edition graphic novel.
Vampires don't exist.
30 Days of Night.
We can last a month.
On DVD Monday.
Assassin's Creed, now available on PC and Nintendo DS.
I am the hunter, the pouncer, the king of my very own jungle.
Now there's a new cat food from IAMS that appeals to your cat's nature. New Nature's Wellness. With 4 main food groups.
Wholesome chicken, whole grains, nutritious vegetables, and antioxidants from fruits.
I'm more than just a cat. I am an IAMS cat. It's good to be king.
New Nature's Wellness from IAMS.
Is it better to be feared or respected? I say, is it too much to ask for both? I humbly present the Jericho.
What are your building stock?
Your eyes are red. Your tears for your long-lost boss?
Tears of joy. I hate job hunting.
Yeah, vacation's over. What happened over there? I had my eyes open. I want to protect the people I put in harm's way. Yeah, I can fly. Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing. There's been speculation that I'm parading around as a superhero. I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
Iron Man.
Play the new Flaming Hot Bingo scratch card from the National Lottery.
Coming up, live football. Queen of the South, Aberdeen at noon, Sky Sports 1. West Brom, Watford at 5:15, also Sky Sports 1. And live Super League, Huddersfield, Wakefield at 6, Sky Sports 2.
This is Sky Sports Live.
SkyPoker.com. Poker comes alive.
On Friday Fight Night, a revolutionary new tournament. Welcome to the age of the prize fighter.